The concourse, painted in green and white and filled with innumerable plants, dispels the stress of travelling through its aesthetic charm. About half of Lanzarote's 55,000 inhabitants live and work in Arrecife, the island's capital. Most of them work in the fish processing industry, in commerce, or in local government. Arrecife is a jolly, busy town, dominated by its harbours, its many shops and restaurants, and its well-kept parks and gardens along the seafront. It's keen to make progress in both the economic and the cultural sectors, and should be visited at least once during one's stay on the island. Many things recall the days when the island was repeatedly raided by slave robbers and pirates. A witness to those insecure times is the Castillo San Gabriel, which today is an archaeological museum. Together with its bridge, Puente de los Bolas, it's the work of the Italian architect Leonardo Torriani. Situated nearby, but dating from 200 years later, is the Castillo San Jose, built by King Charles III in 1790. After having been renovated under the expert supervision of Cesar Manrique, it's today a place where international art exhibitions are held, and it also houses a top-class restaurant. Thanks to its seashore location and its various well-protected harbours, Arrecife is a natural base for an important fishing fleet. Its fish canning and fish meal factories enable it to export an annual 9,000 tons of fish and fish products. There are also several boatyards round the main harbour, repairing or building new boats for the fishing fleet. Splitting as they do the Gulf Stream into a northerly and a southerly current, the Canary Islands are the center of the world tunny fishing industry. Tunny from both tropical waters and the cold northern seas are caught here. For the feast of Corpus Christi, the streets of Arrecife are decorated with brilliantly colored carpets of dyed sea salt. The night before, the local people spend hours making the imaginative pictures, which are then walked over during the religious procession as a ritual offering to God. The timpli is still made today in Teguise in many workshops. It's a 5-stringed plucked instrument which has the bass string in the middle. Although it's now peculiar to the Canary Islands, it presumably originated on the Spanish mainland, where it's now unknown. To be the island's answer to the dry and brittle landscape of the south. The fact that Lanzarote has so far been developed for tourism in a positive fashion is largely due to the energetic and indefatigable work of César Manrique. Born in Arrecife in 1920, he's a painter, sculptor, landscape gardener and protector of the environment all rolled into one. This independent artist is the island's champion and conscience and has had a decisive influence on its cultural and intellectual life.
No cabe duda que tratar de salvar una isla, el medio ambiente, la calidad de vida y un mayor nivel de vida es bastante complicado y creo que lo más importante.
To save an island, preserving its environment and the quality of its life is a pretty complicated business. I believe the most important thing is to make a sociological study of the island and find out how far tourist development can go without destroying Lanzarote, as it has destroyed holiday resorts in many other parts of the world. Together with a group of people who have an extraordinary love for this island, I've been fighting over the years to keep Lanzarote unspoiled, and the level has been reached which may be unique in Spain. Just consider Jameos del Agua, Mirador del Rio, and the volcanic route. In a book I published years ago, which is a kind of inventory of the traditional architecture of the island, I've shown architects and builders how attractive it can be to adapt the old styles of building. There's no doubt the time has now arrived to ask oneself where the ceiling on the number of hotel beds should be set so as to prevent the island being swamped by tourists and the environment destroyed. The Canary Islands have become victims of short-term speculation made without thought of the future. But on Lanzarote we have fought this off, because an invasion of speculators and holidaymakers would pose a threat to the unspoiled state of nature on the island, with all its varied animal and plant population. One must try to prevent the same mistakes being made on Lanzarote, while allowing a reasonable growth of tourism at the spots that have been earmarked for it. I find it very important that people all over the world are developing greater sensitivity and showing more attachment to the concept of a higher quality of life and the beauty of their surroundings.
No cabe duda que la isla de Lanzarote vendría una invasión de humanidad, de especuladores, de gente que quiere vivir en la isla, que harían insoportable la vida, el medio ambiente, sobre todo la limpieza de la propia naturaleza, de su arquitectura, de su flora, de su fauna, y esto es realmente lo más importante para el futuro. Tratar de que ya no se haga nada más en la isla de Lanzarote o un aumento muy estudioso en algunos lugares que están ya programados a nivel turístico. Esto creo que es muy importante que lo tengan todos los artistas del mundo, por ser seres mucho más sensibles y tener un mayor amor al concepto de lo que se llama calidad de vida o belleza del propio medio.
To make it possible to survive in this world threatened by radioactivity and the destruction of the environment, everybody has an important part to play. Not only ecologists at the political level, but each and every one of us in the attitude we take to our own life. To live on this planet is for me an extraordinary wonder, which must be protected so that something as unique as the wisdom of nature will not be destroyed.
Para que no estropeen algo tan maravilloso como la propia sabiduría de la propia naturaleza.
Orcella is a little fishing village tucked away at the north of the island. Here one can experience the hard and simple life of the fisherman at first hand. One can also cross in a small boat to the offshore island of La Graciosa and visit the village of Caleta del Cebo. Those who want to get to know Lanzarote's southern neighbor, Fuerteventura, can catch a car ferry at Playa Blanca on the south coast. The village can boast a modern yacht marina, a magnificent sandy beach, a most attractive promenade, and some tourist accommodation. The place is also a popular destination for trips by the local population, especially at weekends, when they go out to one of the country-style restaurants to drink wine and eat fresh fish and relax after a hard week's work. Also on the west of the island, near Janubio, are the Saltpans. Here, an area of natural lagoons more than 1 square kilometre in extent has been divided into innumerable rectangles. These are allowed to fill with seawater, which evaporates, leaving a layer of salt. The salt needed for the conserving and processing of fish is produced here in large quantities. This area of geometry between land and sea, filled with light made up of crystalline reflections, is not only a fascinating subject for tourist cameras, it also inspired, many years ago now, the Lanzarotean poet Agustín de Espinosa to flights of poetic fancy.